Yo, what's good everybody? It's your boy PK and welcome back to some more Blue Protocol Star Resonance. In today's video guys, we have another hard mode dungeon guide for you to showcase all of the mechanics that you need to know necessary in order to defeat this next boss, which is Tina's Mindrealm. Since it is the next dungeon that you unlock in the game, it is going to be a slight difficulty boost, and overall there will be some more mechanics to look out for compared to the last one, but it's not too stressful, so let's just jump straight into it. So, here's your reminder that with the gear dungeons, you will have the chance to get a Banelord spawn, and it will always let you know in the starting info screen when the party leader starts the dungeon. Once again, you will have to go through the initial stage of clearing all the regular mobs in order to complete the spatial investigation. Like the story mode version of this map, you traverse the zones using the dressers that will teleport you to the next zone. Then you just simply follow the paths that lead you to where you need to go. Be cautious of this dungeon and its regular mobs, since even though this is only the second dungeon, again the difficulty increase is apparent with these mobs. These guys do some serious damage, especially if you're around the recommended gear score, and it can catch you off guard since they can kill you with just a couple of ranged attacks. However, as long as the team is aware and ready, you can heal and shield past with little to no worries. One thing to note is that a couple of mobs will use a vanishing move, which are noted by the red circle and arrow indicators. This move isn't lethal and you can easily dodge it with good timing, but it is important to note since I've seen some players not really realize that the mob was still alive due to them using that move. Besides that though, and ensuring you're not taking too much damage from mobs in general, this initial stage is incredibly simple and there aren't really any special mobs to look out for. Another key thing to note, since a lot of new players seem to forget this one, is that when you complete the spatial investigation for this dungeon, you will notice there is another dresser in the top right corner of this area that will teleport you back to the starting hall. Once you're back there, instead of going back into another dresser, you want to interact with the middle podium in order to spawn inside the actual boss room for Tina. Now, it's time to fight the enraged Tina. Again, Tina will have a selection of normal attacks she can do, but more importantly she has 9 mechanics to look out for. Yeah, I know. However, don't worry, as although it sounds like a lot, a couple of them work in tangent together and are centered around cooldowns, so it's not like she's spamming them all the time. Again, once you are a lot stronger than the recommended gear score though, you will be flying through the dungeon and bypassing a fair amount of mechanics if you're doing good and dealing a lot of damage, so keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind that this is just a list of mechanics and isn't in a particular order of completion, as again, some work in tangent with another and will activate after certain ones are completed. Starting off for the first mechanic being the Void Sigil, Tina places a Void Sigil onto a player at random and is noted by the purple dotted circle and purple flame indicator around that player. The sigil will do slight damage over time the longer you hold onto it, and after a 30-second duration noted by the timer on the bottom left of the player's skill window, it will explode and be a one-shot kill. But the good thing is that passing it on to another player will reset this timer. For the sigil, if you're holding it, simply keep track of the timer. When you see about 5 seconds left before it explodes, you can pass it on to another player. However, as the second mechanic, being the Void Purify, works off of the sigil, it is best to ultimately pass it on to the tank of the party, as they can handle the Purify attack the best. For Void Purify, you will notice a timer for it on the top left side next to Tina's HP bar, indicating when the move is about to strike. This move usually happens 30 seconds after Tina has casted the initial Void Sigil attack, and all subsequent Purifies will happen about 40 seconds after any Void Sigil is casted. Once the timer for the Void Purify is up, Tina roots the player that is holding onto the Void Sigil and charges her spear through the player, dealing a lot of damage, typically one-shotting most classes. This is why it is recommended for the tank to hold onto the Void Sigil, as they have the necessary skills to mitigate the damage and protect themselves from danger. So, once again for this mechanic, ensure the tank has the Void Sigil passed to them before the Void Purify timer expires, and for everybody else, simply avoid the thrust attack range and you're golden. The third mechanic is the Tank Buster, but unlike Goblin's version, this one acts a little different. This one will target any player at random, but is still indicated by the red circle and arrow indicators. After a couple of seconds, Tina jumps into the air and slams anyone that is inside the circle. But the trick to this Tank Buster is that instead of everyone avoiding the move besides the targeted player, you all want to stack on top of that player inside the circle and take the damage together. This is because the damage from this move is distributed amongst anyone who is inside of the range, so this move won't one-shot you if you are all stacked together to take it. The fourth mechanic is a bit tricky as it is a counter mechanic with a short animation window. Tina bends her knees with one foot forward and her spear behind her, indicating that she is going for the counterable move. Soon after, a red glint appears on the tip of her spear, and Tina strikes anyone that is directly in front of her. If no one successfully counters her, she will deal some damage. So as long as you remember her indicator for this move and have proper timing, you can simply use the dodge skill during the red glint animation to counter the move and stun Tina for a couple of seconds. For the fifth mechanic, which is the Lance Flurry, it occurs typically after the Void Purify mechanic. Tina jumps into the middle of the arena and summons 8 rifts around her, indicated by some more pizza-shaped telegraphs on the ground. After some time though, some of those telegraphs will disappear, letting you know that there are safe zones for this initial Lance Flurry that's incoming. She then sends purple slashes out, hitting any players inside the red pizza zones, and will do this attack 4 times while rotating the zones around her to different spots. To pass this mechanic, note the initial safe zones to avoid the first flurry, and then rotate to the subsequent safe zones before she sends off the next ones. Staying close to Tina during this typically helps you make it to zones quicker, so keep that in mind. If you are unable to make it to a safe zone though, you can also use your dodge skill to perfect dodge the slashes with proper timing. The sixth mechanic is the Reverie Megamorph, and is indicated by Tina standing still in the middle of the arena, being enveloped by dark magic before turning the screen black for a bit. When she is covered by the magic, she receives a high damage reduction boost, making it impossible to deal any real damage towards her. So it's best not to waste any heavy hitting skills here, even if you are close to killing her, as the damage reduction truly makes your skills hit like paper. After the screen goes black and reappears, you will notice a giant-sized Tina overlooking the arena with 4 dressers on each side for you to use, and red circle telegraphs will spawn randomly on the map as well. Tina then uses her large spear to cleave the entire arena, which will always be a one-shot kill if hit, and standing inside the red circles when they explode will root you and cause, of course, a guaranteed hit by her spear. To pass this mechanic, note which way Tina is facing the arena and move towards the dresser on your right when facing her, or you can see it as Tina's left when she's facing you. Avoid any circles that may be near, and when you see her cleave her spear, wait until it reaches around halfway through the arena, if not a little bit more, to use the dresser to teleport to the opposite side of the attack, avoiding it entirely. She will disappear and reappear after that first strike, and will do a second one, so again, note where she ends up and move to the dresser to the right of you when facing her to avoid the spear again. If you need help to get to a dresser, you can use your Phantom Dash ability, as it does prove helpful to clear that space if you can't make it on time. The seventh mechanic, Void Erosion Clone, always happens when Tina's HP goes below any of the indicated black thresholds on her HP bar, and the move will always take priority when casted regardless of how fast you are clearing her. Tina jumps into the middle again and goes inside a portal, becoming invulnerable and spawning 3 Tina clones on the edges of the map. Then each clone will slowly walk from the edge back to Tina in the center, dealing no damage themselves, but Tina herself will dash out more slashes in various directions noted by more red pizza telegraphs to try and protect them. Any clones that are successful in reaching her will significantly boost Tina's damage for her big AoE attack she does after this move is fully completed. To pass this mechanic, the party needs to take down all 3 of her clones while avoiding any slash attacks that may come their way, and ensure that none of them end up reaching Tina. The clones will explode after being defeated, so be mindful of the damage and dodge if necessary. After defeating all the clones, Tina will still do her AoE move that launches you up in the air and will damage you for a little bit, but using any mitigating skills or expertise skills that give you invulnerability for a couple of seconds can be used here to avoid the attack or just take less damage overall. The 8th mechanic is Necrotic Slash, where Tina looks down and spawns red circle indicators on every single player in order to attack them. She dashes to each player, slashing them and dealing decent damage. Be cautious though, as this attack works as an AoE, and if multiple players are stacked together, then you all will receive multiple slashes from Tina, which could prove fatal. To pass this mechanic, once you see her charging for this attack, every player should spread out and not have anyone stacked on each other, so that the slashes are distributed equally, and once it's finished, the healer can get everybody topped back off. Like the last mechanic, using any expertise skills with invulnerability can help you ignore the mechanic if you have them up and timed properly. And finally, for the ninth mechanic she does, which players call the donut/puddle mechanic, this is because after Reverie Megamorph, generally one of the two attack patterns occur afterwards. The donut is where Tina quickly puts her spear behind herself and a red telegraph indicator that looks like a ring with safe spots will appear, indicating that she will do a swipe attack and that the safe zones are your friend to avoid them. The puddle is where Tina spins her spear and drops more telegraph indicators underneath every player. However, these ones are static and don't follow you when you move. Regardless of which move she uses, simply avoid the area of damage and you're good. And with that, you have officially slayed Tina, and as always, you can wait for the dungeon to complete to move to the reward screen and to see what loot you picked up. Hopefully some good shit. With that, guys, that's going to do it for today's video on Tina's Mindrealm hard mode. Again, if you guys are enjoying these guide-related content, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment letting me know how you guys are enjoying this game and going through these gear dungeons. Hopefully you guys are even getting some good pieces. Since hard mode, or master mode I should say, comes out next week for the first dungeon, which will be Goblin, I do want to try to get all of the hard mode videos out this week, if I have the time, of course. So, if I do, then you guys will obviously be seeing a stream of those coming out sometime soon. But until next time, guys, I'll catch y'all. Peace out, y'all.